it's Natalie here. I've got my lovely husband as my guest.
Caleb Levy, guest star. Glad to be here.
It's his big debut. He's pretty excited. But I've been telling y'all February's a big month for us.
Huge.
Really not that big, but Valentine's. We've got our engagement anniversary on the 28th.
And wedding.
And then our wedding anniversary is on the 27th. So this year, the 27th, will be 3 years of us being married.
Marital bliss.
Marital bliss. So this is our first little, I thought would maybe be a little relationship talk series. So I had y'all send in questions via Instagram. I have kind of just like told him a few of them, but we have not really looked at these. So we are just rapid fire gonna go through these. First of all, I thought order-wise it would make sense to say kind of our story, our lovely love story, and how we met, blah, blah, blah. So I'll start by saying we're from a small town, Salina, so we've known each other.
It's north of Dallas.
Yeah, about an hour north of Dallas. Like when I say small, we're talking really small.
Kind of agricultural town, a lot of open land.
Yes, so like there's only one high school, one school.
We graduated with about 90 other
So I'm a year older than Caleb, just to put it there. So I'm a year older, and Caleb's brother is actually in my grade, and Caleb was a year below me. And he's technically from Plano. He's not an OG Salina. You're from Plano.
Yeah, I mean, we started my first few years there, but I moved to Salina in 3rd grade.
Yes, so
that's when the romance began.
I don't know about that. So we met in 3rd grade. I was in 4th grade, and Caleb was always Josh's little brother because Josh was in my grade. And Caleb always talks about how he was never invited to any of the birthday parties.
But I would ride to them and drop off Josh and hope someone saw me and
hope you got the invite.
But I never got invited.
He'd be all dressed and ready with his dad and would be like, bye, get out of here.
Hope you'll have fun.
But we were always in the same friend group. It's a small town, so I always knew Caleb, and he was a great guy. In junior high, actually, we had technology class together. I had an email called Caleb Lover 21.
Along with 5 or 6 other girls.
Yeah, it was like, we were like, oh yeah, that's funny, let's do that. Anyway, but we were not dating then. In high school, when I was a junior, when I was going into my senior year, I kind of was like, okay, I see you on the football field, you're looking good. I kind of had my eye for him. He technically had a girlfriend at the time. But if we're getting technical, but anyway, it was one of those things where slowly we kind of started liking each other. He broke up with his girlfriend, and I just kind of pounced in on that, took advantage, and we dated all through my senior year.
Yep.
And then I went to TCU. He was still in high school, but you graduated high school early for football.
High school, went to play football at Oklahoma State. Was there for 4 years, and then went to Dallas to try out for the Cowboys. I went to their rookie camp. Didn't last very long. And that's when Matt and I moved in together in uptown Dallas.
So in other words, we dated all through college. We had, like
long
any
distance.
Other capital, we did long distance. OSU from TCU, Fort Worth to Stillwater is about 4 hours. So it was a lot of me mainly driving there just because with football, he really couldn't come see me unless it was in off season. So it was pretty rare for him to get to come up to Fort Worth. But we did long distance. I always say marriage feels really easy because long distance was really hard. So anyone that's in that will kind of get into that later, but it's not easy. So just know there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I really do think if you're meant to be, that a long distance relationship will test that. We broke up twice, which I think was really good because we had never really dated.
Our breaks.
We had only really dated each other, and you're in college, you got to figure yourself out. I mean, we were dumb college kids, and ultimately we always just came back to each other because we loved each other so much. So
we grew up together, started dating in 2008, got married or were engaged in 2015.
2015.
And then got married in 2016.
So we were engaged literally exactly a year long, got married, and it'll be 3 years, and we've got a little baby. And I always say Caleb was my first love and my only love. Love you,
I say that too.
Ditto. Okay, we'll go on, but that's kind of our love story. How long did we date before we got engaged? We already said that. So really, if you want to get technical, we dated like 7 years. But we were in college, so I will say
with breaks.
We were definitely yeah, but I mean,
we had
part,
like a couple breaks in college just because, I mean,
for the most part, everyone knew us as always, Madison and Caleb were always together, other than our little stuff here and there. But I will say we were kind of the first of our group to get married and have kids just because we were kind of that rare case of been together forever. So most of our friends are kind of just getting married right now. And I'm 28, Caleb's 27, so just for reference on that. I'm a cougar. Some say, but it's been said.
I've never heard that.
It's been said. How did we keep our long distance relationship interesting? I'll let you answer this first.
Well, communication, of course. Madison came up to all my football games in the fall, so she was up there usually twice a month. And then during the spring, I mean, we would try to see each other about the same amount. I'd go up to Fort Worth, or she'd come down to Stillwater, or I'd go down to Stillwater.
Fort Worth.
I'd go down to Fort Worth or up to Stillwater. Excuse me. But no, I mean, it was mainly communication. When we were with each other, we had an awesome time together. I mean, that was the highlight. It wasn't like when we would get together, we would kind of just fight or anything like that. When we were together, we were at our best.
If you're in a long distance relationship and when you see each other, if you're fighting, you probably shouldn't be in that relationship, because you should be so excited to see each other when you're together that you're making literally every minute count. And I think something that helped us is literally get your calendar out and put on there like when you're going to see each other next, because that was something we'd be like, all right, we get to see each other in 2 weeks and I get to come to your game, and we'd kind of talk about plans. And I think with long distance, you're putting in a lot of work and you just have to figure out, is that worth it?
Yeah,
right?
it was a lot of work, but I mean,
it was worth it. Yeah,
it was worth it.
Totally.
Well,
and
it didn't seem like work.
And really, as hard as it was, it's so fun because now we have these two amazing groups of friends that are very different, because you've got me with kind of the fratty crew, TCU, and then you've got Caleb's football crew. So our wedding was so much fun because it was just like the biggest mosh of people, and we all just got wild.
It was fun.
It was really fun. Okay, moving on. Advice for the first year of marriage. Hardest obstacle to overcome.
Matta says I don't clean up after myself.
You've gotten better, but yours is more just like droplings, like when he gets home from work, like take the shoes off. Like sometimes he takes his shirt off before he goes to bed.
There's just a trail, you can tell exactly where I've been.
He's like, I'm home, let's just scatter clothes everywhere. No, but I would say the hardest obstacle, which I say this more out of my friends that face this, because we lived together before we got married. It was one of those things that we had done long distance so long, we were like, no, we're living together. But
we lived together for 3 years.
Yeah,
before.
and I understand some people with faith and things, and obviously we're with Christians, but that, we did live together before. And I will say, we always tell people one of our biggest advice is to live with someone before you
might as well. I mean, I know it depends on kind of your beliefs and everything, but you're going to spend the rest of your life living together and being compatible in that sense is a pretty big part of the relationship. Because you might live with
someone and realize, heck no, this ain't going to work.
But if my grandma's watching this, then
we did not live together. When and how did we decide we were ready for kids? Well, Caleb had to Caleb had to hone me in big time, because my sister already had kids, a lot of my cousins, I'm the youngest, so everyone was having kids around me, and Caleb and I have been together for so long that I'm like, all right, I would have had a honeymoon baby had he let me, but truthfully, I'm really glad. Caleb's like, let's wait a year, let's enjoy our first year of marriage, we're so young, and I'm so glad we did, because our first year of marriage was so much fun.
Yeah,
and as amazing of having a kid, there's nothing that beats having a little baby, but your life forever changes, and going to brunch and going on trips, it's just never the same. A weekend trip is not the same when you have a kid, especially for the mama. It's just harder on us. It's just a fact. But
I don't feel like you're ever really ready. I just couldn't,
And I do
fight.
that.
I couldn't keep Matta any longer.
A year was all I was going to let him have, and then I was like, let's do this. So, I think that you do have to obviously be on the same page, but you're never going to be ready. You can have all the excuses in the world, and if you're happy in your marriage and y'all are in a good place, go for it. Nothing's better than creating a little human.
But your life is never this. It's not like you can't go into it thinking, I can't do this anymore, I can't do that anymore. It's a different life. It is a completely different life. So you have to be ready.
And
Don't think that you're going to continue the life and you're going to have to, sacrifice this and sacrifice that. You get to substitute things, and it's a completely different lifestyle and responsibility. So unless you're ready to move into a new life and new roles, then
if you're still in that selfish mindset, which there's nothing wrong with being selfish in that sense, but you better not be when you're ready to have a kid, because that's just not going to fly anymore. Did we talk about expectations once baby arrived? Like what we had our expectations were? I think the main thing for us was your work can be Caleb's in real estate, and which is great because sometimes his schedule means he doesn't have to go into the office and he's just a lot of times driving around from meeting to meeting. But your first 2 years, and that's another reason why we waited a year to have a kid, because I mean that first year of marriage you were working a lot later than you have to now.
Yeah. So
my expectation for us was like, you can't come, Temple goes to bed, or did at like 6:30, and before we had kids you would get home at 6:30 at the earliest. Mm-hmm. You're not a 5 o'clock guy, which that's just the reality of what our life is. And so now you have to set days, and Caleb knows, okay, at least like a few times a week he wants to come home and be there for dinner and bath time and bedtime routine and all that.
Yeah, I don't think we ever talked about expectations. I don't think we ever knew what to expect.
Yeah.
I mean, and nobody tells you really either, because you just
everyone's reality is so different. Everyone's schedule is so different. Like, are you a stay-at-home mom? Does your husband work 9 to 5, or is it from home some days? I think you have to figure out what's going to work for y'all. But I do think that you have to go into it knowing like,
you got to be flexible.
Yeah, your regular routine isn't probably going to work for every day. How do we keep our relationship strong with the new baby? This was probably the most asked question, because once you have a kid, it's just the reality of it. Your relationship is going to change in some form, and in some forms it's such a positive. Like having Temple, it's brought a new love that I have for you. Hopefully vice versa. But also, those first 2 months, it's a lot, because you're just in this routine and you kind of start feeling like a little machine. And at least for me, as the mom, sometimes you feel like the husband can only do so much, especially if you're breastfeeding. Like in the middle of the night, what's Caleb gonna do? Watch me nurse, and then just, you're doing a good job, honey. He would bring me water if I need, like those first couple weeks, and you're like ravenous and you're thirsty. Caleb would always bring me things and stuff, but like, he has to go to work. I'm going to wake up and nurse Temple. But it did, sometimes I'm looking at him sleep and I'm like, love you, but I'm going to murder you. But what was the question even?
How to keep your relationship strong. I think you kind of went off.
I did go off a little.
Well, here's what I would say. I would say that you don't know what you're doing if you haven't had a child before. And what I've found that's been really helpful for me is I've had to schedule everything, because just like I schedule everything with work, I'll schedule that I'm going to have breakfast with the girls these mornings, and I'll schedule that I'll come home early and make sure that I'm at dinner, and then on top of that, I'll schedule time to where Madison and I have dates, and
we have
one time together. But another big thing is that Madison and I, we love our shows. I'm a big, Vanderpump Rules guy. I mean, I'll admit it. And same with Big Brother.
Love our baby.
But when you have a child, it's when she goes to bed. If you fall into the habit of going right into TV, then I mean, in 2 weeks, we're not even gonna remember what episode we watched. But not having that connection and not just still growing with each other.
We make time to we make time to have dinner together and talk, and then, maybe once or twice a week we watch TV, but we've really made an effort, and that's something that we've had to do, because before a baby you can get away with that because you're up later, you're having more time together, but we really make our alone time.
It's intentional. There's
family walks, that's another big thing we do.
But you can't, it's not just, you can't just, rely that everything will continue, the strength in the relationship will continue. I mean, it takes effort, but life rewards action, and you really have to take action towards what you want. And if it's a strong relationship with your significant other and your child, then it has to be very intentional in your actions in doing so.
Yeah, and I think we should talk on, and this is something that I love that Caleb has done, but really at the end of the year, and I kind of touched on this on stories, we kind of set down and have our family goals. And some people think, well, that's kind of weird. Why would you set away time that you spend together? But whenever you make that effort, it's so intentional, and then you really look forward to it. And it's just that time that you make sure that you're putting into your relationship, because we all get into our day-to-day. So twice a month, Caleb and I do a date. Like this past month, we went and worked out together and did brunch. So it could be something fun like that. We've kind of made it to where like maybe I'll do one and he does another, where we kind of decide what we want to do.
Totally.
So for me, I like the whole workout thing, and his is probably going to be more of a like pasta night. And it could just be even at home, but we're intentional about, okay, we're going to make fillets. We're going to have like a really nice bottle of Italian wine, whatever. And then it was actually a follower who sent this to me after I had mentioned that, and I thought it was really cool. What did it say? It said...
The rule of twos.
Yes.
So 2 dates a month, 2 trips a year, and then every 2 years, a big trip, just the 2 of us.
Yes, like your trips could include your kids except for the 2-year trip. Maybe that's like a Euro trip, or going and doing something fancy, just y'all 2 trip. So I do think that the biggest thing is, you know what, get your calendar out and be cautious of your day-to-day and where you're going to put your time in, and don't let TV consume you. Caleb has...
And use babysitters.
Yeah.
Babysitters, in-laws, mothers, because as much as you want to be around your child all the time, it's good for them and for us to be away from each other. They need to develop around other people. We need not to be helicopter parents.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a disconnect that really is better for everyone.
Yeah. On that topic, though, I see friends and people that are either distance friends or things, or I see y'all message me and are like, oh my gosh, how did you find someone to help you? I'm so nervous leaving my baby. And you know what? That's something that is so important, and you need your time, your individual time as a mom, especially, and your time with your husband alone, because it's not healthy for your baby to be with you all the time. I love Temple and I want to be with her all the time, but you need that time, and take advantage of people around you. Your baby will be fine. Find a good babysitter, talk around to friends.
Do your research though.
Yeah, obviously don't.
Not Craigslist.
Yeah, no Craigslist babysitters, but find someone you trust and take advantage of that, because having your baby with you all the time is not healthy for your baby or you, and eventually you're going to have to go to school one day, so you might as well get used to your time apart a little bit. What's your advice for new dads?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Well, going into this, I think I read one book, which was good. But I would say for the most part, especially with our experience, I was more helping with Temple indirectly than directly being involved. Because Madison was breastfeeding.
You mean in the beginning, like
in the beginning? I would say
first
probably
month,
the first 4 months.
Well,
maybe.
You mean in the sense of like?
Well, I mean in the
you
sense
can only
of
do so much.
You were breastfeeding. She always wanted to be on mama. So what I was really doing was I was supporting Nada. I was always making sure that she was drinking plenty of water, that she was well fed. I was taking care of the house and everything that I could, just to make her life easier, because she was at the time Temple really wanted to be on mom and Madison all the time.
Connected to the boob.
So it was more of an indirect, but it's I was more in the support role then, and I would do anything that I could with Temple.
So you would probably say your advice is for a dad is to make sure mom is taken care of, make sure she gets
and don't
her
get your
food.
feelings hurt if your baby just wants to be on mom all the time. I mean, she's been on mom for the last 10 months. It's going to be. Just don't get your feelings hurt.
It was my midwives that literally, I remember our meeting, and they looked Caleb in the eye and they were like, your job is to make sure that girl is fed and has a water by her all the time, and you need to make sure that she doesn't have to stress about any house chores or anything, because that's just in our nature. And right after you have a baby, you can't just be hopping around. I learned my lessons, like, let's go on a walk, and then I was like, okay, can't do that yet. But that's where daddy needs to put his big boy pants on and get some house chores done.
And they got done.
He did. You were a killer breakfast maker too.
Thanks.
He's got breakfast
down.
It's
my specialty.
It's a specialty. How do we fight successfully? You always say a good line for this.
I always say that, when facing a problem, when Madison and I are in an argument, it's us against the problem. It's not us against each other and who's going to win. I mean, it's as long as you can stay focused on what you're fighting about, as opposed to fighting each other. And then secondly, don't bring up anything outside of the argument. I mean, if you're fighting something, then keep it in the sphere and don't just start going below the belt.
Yeah.
But I would say overall, I mean, as long as you can remember, we're a team. I mean, we're partners.
We never talk down to each other. Like we would never call each other stupid or curse words
Or
like
ugly.
You're ugly. This fight's so done. You're ugly. Gotcha. But I think that you just have focus on
focus on the problem.
Yeah,
what is the problem? Because we are partners and we solve our problems together.
And I will say, I just don't. We just aren't really fighters, and we don't like to. Like if we have an argument, it's something little.
Don't be passive aggressive either. I mean, communicate and I mean, you can be if you're married to somebody, you can be real with them, and if you can't, then you've got some other problems.
Yeah, nothing is worse than being passive aggressive and ignoring and being like, "No, I'm fine. I swear I'm good.
I'm fine." Oh God, that's a trap.
2 weeks of silence. Okay. With all the daily life struggles, work, kids, general fatigue, how do we communicate? In the mornings, we wake up and I'll start breakfast, and you have your Temple time where you always change her diaper and you play with her, and then y'all come out for breakfast.
And Nana screams yah, and then we come out to breakfast and we spend breakfast together, and then usually we get to play a little bit more after that, and that's when I start to get ready, and Matt will dress Temple, and she'll hang out in our room. But
so I think with daily life struggles, like you have to find your flow as a couple with a kid now, and this did not have. Honestly, I feel like really the past 3 months is we've really gotten in our flow. Like Caleb figured out for him to function at your best, you need your morning time, and he knows the time. The only time he can get that is before Temple wakes up. Because otherwise, he knows that he has to do all the things, and he wants to do all the things with Temple and I.
Yeah, I don't want to wake up going into something.
Yeah.
Like me, I have to have my alone time and my Caleb time in the mornings for a few hours, so that when Temple wakes up, I'm refreshed mentally and I'm ready to attack the day, as opposed to just waking up in it. You know, and that's what's been so important with me and with Temple and Madison, is that I've realized that there's a certain amount of time that I need of just my self-reflection time every day, and I've been able to do that early in the mornings.
And that's where you can get it. We are a married couple, but we also are individuals, and I've kind of read this in a thing I read the other day with the Valentine's post, but it's like you have to have your own independence, and Caleb has his things that he does and his morning routine and his stuff, and like for me going to work out and my alone time, like you need your alone time. That's where a babysitter, even for yourself as a mom, to get out of the house every once in a while, because it's just your time to recharge, and however that may be for you. For me, that's working out, and that's where I fill my cup back up, and Caleb fills his cup back up in a different way, and it helps us in our marriage and to be better parents. So I think they did pretty good on that one.
That's a great answer.
Pretty great answer, Madison. Good job. How to continue being intimate after the honeymoon stage is over. I think that kind of goes back to you have to do. We try to both every once in a while do something sweet for that person. Whether it be sending flowers or
nudies.
Not nudies. Or nudies if you're into that.
Hey, just if that works.
Make sure
works for us.
Make sure you trust that person really well. Because it's out there.
I think it's certainly alone time, and going back to what I said, where you have to schedule dates. Like dates are so important. I mean, and not only that, but
that fire life.
There's going on walks and things like that.
Yeah,
are just as important too, and just having, it's when you have a child, it feels like you're with Temple all the time, and we're all, but then when you're not with them, you have to go see your friends because you haven't seen them in a while. It's more important to have that it goes Temple and us, and then
everything
social.
else. Yeah. You have to prioritize that time together, and I think once you figure out what works for that and what makes you happy, you gotta work for it. How do we share baby/house responsibilities? we're pretty good about that. You handle all the outside dog poops and things, taking the trash out. I think
Cleaning.
rule of thumb is if you're gonna eat something, put your dishes up. You know, like put your clothes away, and that's something I like at mornings. I'm like, Caleb, where those pants go, and
So
then he'll pull
I've
them up. And
learned
you know
that-
what, ladies, don't do it for them. Remind them, and they'll get used to it.
I'm no one's responsibility.
Yeah,
is
like-
what I've learned. It's been a tough
Caleb's mom,
lesson to learn.
your mom will come over and be like, Caleb, why are your clothes all out? And he's like, okay, mom. And I'm like,
But if she's gonna pick up after me, then
yeah, then
I'm
he
not
wouldn't
gonna learn
learn.
not to leave my stuff everywhere.
For sure.
But she stopped doing it, so now I've had to learn.
I think you just kind of come into your flow of responsibilities, and if you're in that situation, you're like, wait, I'm doing everything, then you need to check that out and maybe make some
That's
changes.
what you feel like you do something.
No, but I think probably in the beginning, had I not said the outside stuff, you just knew to do. The inside stuff, we kind of took a little training for that.
I was just picking up after myself. Dirty clothes,
Yours
shoes.
yours is literally just the trail of Caleb everywhere. It's like, heaven forbid that sock go where it's supposed
And I don't like
to
to put things in the same place ever.
He likes to keep me on my toes. Okay. Best way to meet someone in the dating world. I feel like we're not very good to answer this. 'Cause
Clubs.
we've been together forever.
You're going to go to the clubs.
Do not.
Late.
It's when you meet the quality guys. No, honestly, I've got a few single friends, and slowly they're all meeting people, and a lot of times it's on dating apps, you know?
Yeah.
On dating apps and
Word.
word of mouth and friends. And also, I think that we're all at the age where if you want to go on a date with someone, and if you're even like hesitant, like don't continue dating someone unless you like them, and never settle, because there's nothing more important. I don't care if you feel like all my friends around me are getting married. You would rather wait for the one and to be your happiest than to marry someone, because once you're married, life doesn't get easier, and that's your challenge in marriage, and if you're not going to make it if you're not happy. So just wait for that guy and it will happen, or girl.
Yeah, I mean,
More
life's
of-
too short to be with somebody that you don't want to spend all your time with. I mean,
Yeah.
marriage is not the person that you just, you feel most comfortable with. Marriage is spending your life with someone who makes you the best you.
Yeah.
I mean, Madison makes me the best Caleb, and because of that, that's who I want to experience all these different things in life with.
Yeah.
Not because, I've known her the longest, and, she's got a good family and we seem to get along. No, she makes me my best me, and I feel like I make her best her, and because of that, we want to be around each other the most and experience life together.
Stay-at-home mom and working helps balance. They struggled asking for me time. I want to hear your thought on me being at home with Temple and you working, and if like I want to go like get my nails done or go to a workout class on the weekend or when you get home from work. What are your like kind of?
I mean, I'm usually...
You can't leave. You're stuck here.
What?
How dare you?
No, I'm usually... I don't get to be around Temple nearly as much because of work. So really, when Madison wants to do those things, I mean, I know just how important it is for her, because especially, that she's always with Temple. It's good for her to be independent and get to do her different things. But I mean, it's just as important for me to create that bond with Temple, and I'm not creating that bond the same way as if it's just the three of us always together, and me just seeing her at breakfast and me seeing her at dinner, and then us all being together. There needs to be alone time with just the father and the daughter and the bond that we have. So it's not much of an argument when Matta wants to go do things like that. I mean, but I think it's just as it's important for not only Temple and I to have that time, but for Madison to have her own time. So there's typically, it doesn't take much for Matta to get to do that.
I'd
unless
say
it's just super
if you're in that
inconvenient.
situation, try to, if your husband's, giving you a hard time about it, he needs to change his outlook as that's really fun quality time that he can have with the baby. And he also needs to realize you're working your butt off just as much at home, taking care of a kid, and you don't get an off time. You don't get to just like lay down, or you're not chilling all day. I mean,
You're napping all day.
Was Caleb always into clean products and food? How did you incorporate that? We got this question a lot, so I just added it in.
I didn't have a choice. I never shopped for any of that stuff, so I never noticed I mean, I guess
you just use what, honestly, if I
whatever
put it
Meg
in
gives
front of
me.
them and it's such
and I'll
great
complain
quality
about it if I
stuff.
don't like it, and she'll find something else.
Exactly, like you love, you know, we didn't get to using, like, we love the Ursa deodorant, but we had a lot of trials before them where Caleb's like, all right, I stink, like we need something that works, or certain hair products, you know, it's trial and error, but also he knows who he married. We've been together a long time. He knows that I've always had
I'm not going to go shopping for this stuff.
Yeah, and I've always had a
and if
passion
I do,
for this.
and if it's toxic, then it'll be thrown away. So
Yeah, he might as well not bother.
Now my only two things
Knew you were about to say this.
my only two things were styrofoam cups.
Ugh.
And
There was something else.
I can't remember what the other thing was. But
Because he
I had
always tells this to people when people ask that, like, what do you do about bad endings? The styrofoam cups is a problem. So y'all can get go comment on all Caleb's Instagrams and give him crap for it. He loves to take his coffee in them to work, and to his defense, it does keep your coffee very hot.
Oh, I know what it is. It's styrofoam cups and toilet paper. I hate the toilet paper that we use.
Because he says it's scratchy.
It's the worst. I don't know. It affects me negatively. And I'm green
have
in
to have
all
a
other
balance.
parts of my body, or all other parts of my life. Not by choice, but I'm glad that I do.
You did. We made a balance where I said, okay, you can use the Charmin, but no
you-
styrofoams. I said he bought the pack on Amazon that was like
500 pack.
500,
of cups,
and I told
like
him when
$20.
those run out, it's over, and they ran out recently, and he's been trying, and I said, no, you can
I've been
take.
jonesing for some styrofoam cups. I hate it. It's just more dishwashing for you.
Oh well, I would rather dishwash than hurt the environment. Okay,
God bless
well,
you.
I think for the most part we answered. We got a lot of topic there on the end, but hopefully, not that we are not masters. We
We don't know what we're
yeah.
doing.
You know, I think that's the joy, and that's what parenting's about. Your friends can tell you all the things, and there's nothing to truly prepare you exactly for what's coming. But there's nothing better than becoming a father and a mother, and it does change your relationship, but it can be the most positive way if you just kind of figure out what works for you. And hopefully y'all enjoyed this, and as always, I appreciate and love y'all, and thank you to my loving husband. You are
You're welcome.
natural. Maybe you should start your own blog. I think you should.
Maybe.
You can call it
Maybe. Caleb Lee.
Caleb. Actually, at one point had an Amazon page. It was
Caleb's Cabinet. A sneak peek into my supporting cast. Check it out.
Amazon storefront plug. All right, love y'all. Thank you. Bye.